In our relentless pursuit of happiness, why do so many of us still feel empty despite having everything society tells us we need? The answer may lie in a profound insight from 2,500 years ago. Happiness is not something we find outside of ourselves. It is an inner state shaped by our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. The teachings of the Buddha offer us timeless wisdom, guiding us to unlock the deep well of peace and joy within. Today, modern science confirms what Buddha discovered millennia ago, that true happiness comes not from external achievements, but from how we train our minds to perceive and interact with the world. Welcome to an exploration of Buddha's 7 keys to lasting happiness, ancient principles that have transformed countless lives across cultures and centuries. These aren't just philosophical concepts, they're practical tools validated by contemporary psychology and neuroscience. From Silicon Valley executives to world-class athletes, from healthcare professionals to everyday people facing life's challenges, these teachings provide a roadmap to genuine contentment in our fast-paced, often overwhelming world. In the next few minutes, we'll journey through these 7 transformative principles, living in the present moment, practicing compassion, embracing simplicity, detaching from desires, cultivating gratitude, meditating daily, and following the middle way. Each principle addresses a specific challenge of modern life, offering both ancient wisdom and practical applications you can implement today. Whether you're new to Buddhist thought or a seasoned practitioner, these timeless teachings can help you discover the happiness that already exists within you. Digital age, our attention is increasingly fragmented. A Harvard study found that people spend nearly 47% of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they're doing. And this mind-wandering consistently makes them unhappy. The Buddha identified this problem millennia ago when he said, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." There was once a young woman named Maya who was constantly anxious about her future career and regretful about past decisions. Her mind was so rarely in the present that she barely tasted her food or noticed the changing seasons. A wise teacher suggested she practice a simple exercise for 5 minutes each day to fully engage with whatever she was doing, whether eating, walking, or even washing dishes. At first, Maya found this nearly impossible, but gradually, the Buddha's teaching on present moment awareness is now supported by extensive research showing that mindfulness, the practice of bringing non-judgmental awareness to the present moment, reduces stress, anxiety, and depression while increasing happiness and life satisfaction. By focusing on the present, we allow ourselves to experience life fully and find joy in the simplest moments. To practice this principle today, try this simple exercise. When drinking your next cup of tea or coffee, fully engage all your senses. Notice the warmth of the cup, the aroma, the taste, and the sensations as you drink. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the experience. This small practice can be your first step toward present moment living. In our increasingly isolated society, loneliness has reached epidemic proportions with profound consequences for both mental and physical health. The Buddha taught that compassion, caring for the suffering of others, and wishing to alleviate it is not just virtuous but essential for our own happiness. Consider the story of Dr. James Doty, a neurosurgeon who grew up in poverty with an alcoholic father and depressed mother. As a teenager, he met a woman who taught him meditation and compassion practices that transformed his life. He went on to become a successful surgeon, but found that material success alone left him feeling empty. It was only when he reconnected with compassion, both for others and himself, that he found genuine fulfillment. Today, As founder of Stanford's Center for Compassion and Altruism Research and Education, he scientifically studies what Buddha knew intuitively, that compassion creates happiness. Research now confirms that acts of kindness trigger the release of oxytocin and endorphins, creating what scientists call a helper's high. Studies show that spending money on others creates more happiness than spending it on ourselves, and that compassionate people tend to be happier, healthier, and more resilient in the face of stress. To cultivate compassion in your daily life, try this practice. Each morning, set an intention to perform one act of kindness. It could be as simple as a genuine compliment, helping a colleague, or sending a supportive message to someone going through a difficult time. Notice how this practice affects your own sense of well-being. We live in a world of unprecedented material abundance, yet rates of depression and anxiety continue to rise. The Buddha identified this paradox when he taught, "The root of suffering is attachment. True contentment comes from needing less, not having more." Jack was a successful executive who seemed to have everything: a luxurious home, expensive cars, and the latest gadgets. Yet he felt constantly dissatisfied, always chasing the next acquisition. After a health scare, he began studying Buddhist principles and was struck by the teaching on simplicity. Gradually, he began decluttering his life, not just his physical possessions, but his commitments, digital distractions, and even relationships that drained his energy. As his external life simplified, he discovered a growing sense of inner spaciousness and peace. Modern research supports this ancient wisdom. Studies show that beyond meeting our basic needs, additional wealth and possessions contribute surprisingly little to happiness. In fact, materialistic values are consistently linked to lower well-being and life satisfaction. The minimalism movement, with its focus on intentional living with less, represents a contemporary application of this Buddhist principle. To embrace simplicity today, choose one area of your life to simplify. Perhaps your physical space, digital consumption, or schedule. Ask yourself, does this add genuine value to my life? If not, consider letting it go. Notice how creating space in your external environment creates a corresponding sense of spaciousness within. Our consumer culture constantly creates new desires, promising that happiness lies in the next purchase, achievement, or experience. The Buddha identified this endless cycle of craving as a primary source of suffering. There was once a man who was obsessed with wealth. No matter how much he gained, he was never satisfied. One day, a wise elder told him, "Imagine you are holding a handful of sand. The tighter you grip it, the more it slips away." The man realized that by chasing his desires, he was only pushing true happiness further away. In letting go, he discovered a calm and peaceful heart. This teaching is echoed by the Stoic philosophers of ancient Greece and Rome, who emphasized the importance of focusing on what we can control and accepting what we cannot. Modern psychological research on hedonic adaptation shows that humans quickly return to baseline happiness levels after both positive and negative events, suggesting that lasting happiness cannot come from fulfilled desires alone. Detachment doesn't mean not having goals or preferences. It means holding them lightly, without allowing your happiness to depend on their fulfillment. When we cling to desires, we are tied to the impermanent and uncertain. By detaching from them, we find a deep sense of peace within, free from the roller coaster of fleeting wants. To practice detachment, identify one desire that causes you suffering. Perhaps a craving for approval, a material possession you covet, or an outcome you're attached to. Practice saying to yourself, "I may want this, but I don't need it for my happiness." Notice how this subtle shift in perspective creates a sense of freedom. Our brains have a negativity bias, an evolutionary tendency to focus on problems and threats rather than blessings. The Buddha countered this tendency by emphasizing gratitude, saying, "Let us rise up and be thankful, for if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So let us all be thankful." Sarah, a journalist covering war zones, found herself becoming increasingly cynical and depressed despite her meaningful work. A Buddhist teacher suggested she end each day by writing down 3 things she was grateful for, no matter how small. Initially skeptical, Sarah was surprised to find that this simple practice gradually shifted her perspective. While still acknowledging the suffering she witnessed, she became more attuned to moments of human kindness, beauty, and connection that she had previously overlooked. Modern research has established gratitude as one of the most reliable paths to increased happiness. Studies show that regular gratitude practices reduce depression and anxiety, while increasing optimism, social connection, and even physical health. Neuroscience research reveals that gratitude activates brain regions associated with positive emotions and reward processing. To cultivate gratitude in your daily life, try this practice. Each evening, reflect on 3 specific things you're grateful for. Challenge yourself to find new blessings each day, from the mundane, clean water, a comfortable bed, to the profound, meaningful relationships, moments of beauty. By appreciating the small blessings, we shift our focus from what we lack to what we already have. Our minds are increasingly bombarded with information and stimulation, leading to what neuroscientists call cognitive overload. The Buddha taught meditation as the essential practice for training the mind, comparing an untrained mind to a wild elephant, powerful but destructive when not properly guided. A young monk asked his teacher, "How do I find peace?" The teacher simply replied, "Sit still, quiet your mind, let go of everything, and listen." As the monk practiced meditation, he found that his mind became a calm lake, undisturbed by the storms of life. This ancient practice has now been extensively studied by modern science. Research shows that regular meditation physically changes the brain, increasing gray matter in regions associated with self-awareness, compassion, and introspection, while decreasing the size of the amygdala, which processes fear and anxiety. Studies demonstrate that even brief daily meditation can reduce stress, improve concentration, enhance emotional regulation, and increase overall well-being. Meditation is not about stopping thoughts, an impossible task, but about changing our relationship to them. By observing our thoughts without attachment, we develop the ability to respond wisely rather than react automatically to life's challenges. To begin a meditation practice, try this simple technique. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Sit comfortably with your back straight and eyes closed or softly focused. Bring your attention to your breath, noticing the sensation of air entering and leaving your body. When your mind wanders, which it will, gently return your attention to your breath without judgment. With consistent practice, even 5 minutes daily can begin to transform your relationship with your mind. Our culture often glorifies extremes, whether in work, hustle culture, fitness, no pain, no gain, diet, all or nothing approaches, or even self-improvement, toxic positivity. The Buddha discovered through personal experience that extremes of any kind lead to suffering, teaching instead what he called the middle way. After years of extreme asceticism that nearly killed him, the Buddha realized that neither self-indulgence nor self-denial led to enlightenment. He taught, "The middle way is the way of moderation, the way of balance. Balance is the key to lasting happiness." This principle is reflected in modern psychological concepts like work-life balance and sustainable habits. Research consistently shows that extreme approaches to diet, exercise, work, or even meditation often lead to burnout, abandonment of the practice, or compensatory behaviors. Sustainable change comes through moderation and balance. The middle way applies to all areas of life, from how we eat and exercise to how we work and rest, from our material pursuits to our spiritual practices. It invites us to find the sweet spot between too much and too little, between rigid discipline and complete laxity. To apply this principle, identify one area of your life where you tend toward extremes, perhaps work, exercise, digital consumption, or even spiritual practice. Ask yourself, what would a more balanced approach look like? Experiment with moderation, noticing how it affects your well-being. Remember that the middle way isn't a fixed point, but a dynamic balance that may shift with changing circumstances. These 7 teachings, living in the present, practicing compassion, embracing simplicity, detaching from desire, cultivating gratitude, meditating daily, and following the middle way, offer us a comprehensive path to happiness that has stood the test of time. What makes these principles so powerful is that they work together as a system, each reinforcing the others. When we live in the present, we naturally become more compassionate. When we embrace simplicity, detachment from desires becomes easier. Gratitude and meditation support each other, while the middle way provides the balanced approach needed to sustain all these practices. Modern science now validates what Buddha discovered through direct experience, that happiness is not a distant goal to be achieved through external circumstances, but an inner state that can be cultivated through specific practices. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change throughout life, means that no matter your age or past experiences, you can reshape your mind toward greater happiness. As you incorporate these principles into your life, remember that this is not about perfection, but progress. Even small steps in each of these areas can create significant shifts in your experience of life. May these teachings bring you lasting peace and joy. If you found value in these timeless teachings, I invite you to take one concrete step today. Choose just one of these 7 principles and commit to practicing it for the next week. Notice how it affects your state of mind and overall sense of well-being. For more insights on Buddhist wisdom and how to apply these ancient teachings to modern life challenges, subscribe to our channel. Each week, we explore practical ways to cultivate inner peace, compassion, and happiness in today's complex world. In the comments below, I'd love to hear which of these 7 principles resonates most with you, or how you've applied Buddhist wisdom in your own life. Your experience might inspire others on their journey. Thank you for joining me in exploring these transformative teachings.